What up, what up, what up? Football fans all over the world. It's your boy, Mac the Giants fan, here with my guy, the super dope co-host, Adam Costas. Y'all know what time it is. It's time for that real deal NFC East round up. Punch that in. Good afternoon. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Real Deal NFC East Roundup. I am Mac the Giants fan here with my guy, the super dope co-host, Adam Costas. Man, how you feeling today, Adam?
It is good day today. Free agency day, baby.
Absolutely. It's official. People can sign officially today. It's all going to be official now. Can put their name, put pen to paper now. Everything is going to be made official. Trades, free agency. It's been a lot of action over the last few days. The tampering period came in hot and heavy on Monday, man. Heated up. And we're going to get right started with the second place team in the NFC East division, the Washington Commanders. They haven't necessarily been overly busy on the actual free agent market, but they've been definitely putting that work in and made a couple of very huge trades. Coming in here, man, making and really just showing that they are a team that's here to, they're for real. They're trying to step it up. They're for real. They're trying to make some moves, trying to compete with this Philadelphia Eagle football team within the division, and also stay ahead of the game, stay ahead of the Cowboys, the team they leapfrogged the season to go, and they've made a couple of big moves. What do you think about what the Washington Commanders are doing right now, Adam?
I think they're doing a
What's up,
pretty
Dave?
good job. Um, I think they're doing a pretty good job. I think they signed Will Harris, a safety. They needed that. Obviously, not at the high end of the high end market, but at least they have somebody in the back end to help them out. They also got Jeremy McNichols. He's already been on the team, but they needed him as a running back. They made a huge signing with Javon Kinlaw to go up to replace kind of Jonathan Allen with Deron Payne. So we'll see how he fits into the defense. Remember, they also signed Bobby Wagner as well. That's part of the free agency period. You got to count re-signings as well, because if they had left, we would talk about them leaving, right? So we have to talk about them being re-signed. So Bobby Wagner. So they've done a lot of things. Zach Ertz, they re-signed. John Bates. They also got Tress Way. They re-signed Marcus Mariota. And I think if I'm not mistaken, even though the transaction's not on here, they signed Larry Tunsil, which is an absolutely enormous move.
They traded for him.
So from Houston, if you don't know who Larry Tunsil is, go look him up. He's pretty badass tackle. It's a huge move to upgrade a unit that we all thought was maligned, right, last year with their offensive line, right? So I think that this is a huge get for them, and I think it's going to prove big dividends going forward. Kinlaw on the defensive line, let's see if he can kind of step up. He kind of was underperforming with the Jets, so not sure what he'll do here. He was pretty good in the system over in San Francisco. He did play well in that defensive line. So maybe with this rotation in Dan Quinn's defense, maybe being that they play a 3-4, more of a 4-3 defense, he'll be able to attack with Deron Payne next to him. So they've done some good things, to get a couple guys out there to help out with weapons. I mean, you bring back Zach Ertz. He was a phenomenal addition for them last year, and that's a signing 1-year deal. Bobby Wagner knows the defense. Obviously, it's not a crazy signing, but look what he did. He stabilized the defense. That defense played a lot better, and they got secondary help now, right? They have Marcus Lattimore. They brought him in early last year, and they're going to probably get more defensive help as well. And they signed a ton of players, right? And this is what you expect. And guess what? They're 29th in the draft. And So they have a ton of options here to continue to get better. And I don't want to say they closed the gap because you never want to say that you don't know what happened, but I think they're building something pretty good here. I think that they can build on a lot of things from last year going forward. Let's see again what they do with the receiver position. Cooper Kupp's on the market. A couple other guys are on the market. I don't think they signed a receiver just yet. Oh, wait, no, excuse me. They got Deebo Samuel. Excuse me. That's going to help out with Terry McLaurin.
Debo.
Think about that. You got Deebo Samuel. You got Zach Ertz. You have now Terry McLaurin. That strong run game that you have. Laramie Tunsil, like really giving you more time. This team is going to be potent on offense. And now they're slowly starting to build something on defense. I wouldn't be surprised if they go for a defensive line or a defensive outside edge in Washington for their first round pick. But they're headed in the right direction. I don't know about you, Mac, but I think they had a solid free agency start going forward.
They have an excellent free agency start. I think it's been excellent. I think they've taken care of their players. Obviously, re-signing quite a bit of the guys that helped them get to where they got a year ago. You already brought up Bobby Wagner, Zach Ertz, Marcus Mariota, another once again a reliable, solid backup quarterback. Felt like there was no need to change that situation. So and they didn't. So they've done some good things, and even in the backfield with Jeremy McNichols and Chris Rodriguez. These guys as such or whatever. Chris Rodriguez officially hasn't been, but they said it's like they're going to probably bring him back as well. I mean, once again, they're not going to shake the tree too much, but yet they're still making some key additions that are going to help them ultimately get to where they're trying to hopefully potentially get them to where they want to be. I mean, let's face it. I mean, Deebo Samuels and Laramie Tunsil, acquiring those guys in trades, that addresses two huge needs for this Washington Commanders football team. We talked about it at length last season that if there was maybe another solid number two guy to partner with Terry McLaurin, well, now you got one in Deebo. He can stay healthy. He might not be the most traditional of receivers, but that's still a big move for the Washington Commanders, and that's definitely an upgrade at that number two receiver spot. And they may not be done. I mean, you got Cooper Kupp just getting released at the start of this NFL league year, just a couple hours ago. He's now officially released. You got out there on the market still. You got the one from Houston last year, Stephon Diggs. I mean, you got some still top guys that who knows? I think Washington is going to maybe look to do most of their offensive stuff in free agency, and I think they're going to really hit the draft hard and building that defense up with a lot of young talent in the draft. I think that's how they're going to approach this. It seems like, and I think they're just like look. They started off last season by getting their quarterback. They got their guy. They know he's their guy. He had a great, tremendous rookie campaign, and now they're looking to truly continue to build upon that. And look, they've got a pretty good foundation right now. They've done. I mean, like I said, they've done some really good things, and so far, I think it's an absolute win for the Washington Commanders thus far at this point in the free agency period. I mean, you just can't. I mean, like you said, addition of Will Harris and Javon Kinlaw, don't sleep on that stuff, on those moves either, man. Those, once again, key moves for this Washington Commanders team. They are addressing the needs. And like I said, Washington has now become a destination, people. So the guys are going to, they're going to kind of want to be a part of that. They're going to, so don't be surprised if they get a couple of more key guys here and maybe don't necessarily have to pay the kind of money you expect them to, because now people are going to want to play for the Washington Commanders. They're not going to go there expecting to just get overpaid and get some inflated contract. Now they're a team that people are going to want to be a part of, man. And I'm liking what I'm seeing from this Commanders team thus far in the early part of free agency. They're looking like they're not just going to sit on their hands and be okay with what happened, with how their season went a season ago. It was a great year, ended pretty poorly with that NFC Championship game. But the fact is, nobody had them in that game going into last season, and now they look to build upon that and continue to grow. Man, look like they're off to a good start this offseason. What is going on? No Mets, no Nets, no Jets. My guy, appreciate you popping in like you always do, man. But yeah, this Washington team is definitely, man, things looking good right now. Like I said, the future looks bright. I know some people were talking about. I got a lot of people with that hater mentality that just swear that Jaden Daniels is going to hit some kind of sophomore slump this year or anything. I mean, look, C.J. Stroud had his moments obviously this year where it was a little rocky, but at the end of the day, he still overall was still a good quarterback. It wasn't like he just fell off the cliff. You know what I mean? He just wasn't quite, you know, a little more tape on him, and maybe some things caught up to him a little bit. But at the end of the day, he still proved to be a good, reliable, solid quarterback. And I think you can look for the same from Jaden Daniels next year. I don't see that sophomore slump happening with this kid. Not based off of what I watched this year with him. He looks like he's just really he's the real deal, man. I mean, whether you like it or not, he is the real deal, and he's going to be in this NFC East division and going to be a thorn in everybody's side for some years to come, man. So this Washington team needs to just keep doing what they're doing, man.
You said something funny. You said that he's already the real deal. Like, this is his rookie season. He's supposed to get better from here. Like, if this guy does reach his potential, like, he's already good right now. So if he were to just kind of stay on this trajectory right now, you're like, man, this guy is dynamic. But imagine if he has growth, right? Because I hear all these great things about him. He loves football. He eats it, he sleeps it, he drinks it. Like, someone was on the phone with me today talking about Josh Allen, how he loves the game so much. He's watching college tape. He's watching, like, he's not afraid to watch football, right? And some of those guys mixed with talent really become good. And I'm like, if this is his rookie season, I don't know what my expectation levels are next year, but I see what Lamar Jackson is doing and coming into his own. Josh Allen, like, are we going to be talking about a guy like that type of elite status in our division? Because one thing that Jalen Hurts is here. He's a solid quarterback. He's not, can't take anything away from Jalen Hurts. He's a good player, right? Whether we like him or not, good player. Is he upper echelon quarterback? I think he's top 15, right? Top 12. That's not a slight on him. I just think there's 12 other guys. Would I take him on my team? Yes, I would. I'm not trying to slander Jalen Hurts. What I'm just saying is we see what he can do. Imagine what we see with Jaden Daniels. I'm just saying the growth next year. My goodness. I'm just saying, like, I know I'm waxing poetic about this guy, but it's going to be fun to be a Giant fan and watch the growth of this kid. Because even if you hate, the Washington Commanders, you got to love what this kid's doing. I mean, I know they're the Commanders and we're supposed to hate the rivals. I get it, but he does things the right way, and I just, as a content creator, I've enjoyed watching him and I hate to say this, it makes me seem like a not a good Giant fan, but I'm just excited to see where the game's going to take him next year.
Like you said, I mean, we're Giant fans, but as football fans, man, you just love. How can you not get behind a guy like Jaden Daniels, man? I mean, he seems to be
Right.
a good kid, a good person, and just how can you not? Like, I mean, that's just, to me, sometimes you got to take the fan hat off sometimes, man. Even if it's a division rival, you just got to acknowledge what's right in front of your face. And what was presented to us this season by this young man was brilliance, man. I mean, it was absolute brilliance, and I hope for the best for this young man. I mean, I'll support him all the way, except for those 2 games a season. 2 games a year, I'm not gonna be. I ain't got. I gotta let it go. But other than that, man, a guy like this, I gotta get behind him, man.
But he is a likable guy. Like, he may like for we're gonna hit on all the teams, right? And this is the NFC East. But to me, we like him, and then the next guy, all these quarterbacks are upstanding guys. Is what I'm saying, in the NFC East. I mean, minus the Giants, because we only have we have a bit of a mascot as our quarterback right now at the moment. So we'll get to them. Respectfully, y'all talking like content creators. I mean, yeah, we're supposed
to. We're here to do.
Like, I love the game of football, and as much as I hate division rivals, I'm mature enough to understand what I'm watching next to me, right? And in order for me to enjoy the game, sometimes I got to take the hatred hat off. Do I want to beat the Eagles every week? Yes. Do I want to beat the Commanders? And we will have our day, right? And trust me, when we get to the Giants segment, you're going to start to hear some of that fanhood come out. But as a football fan, like you said, Mac, I'm enjoying it. I want to enjoy it because this is my hobby. This is my sport. It's something I love. right? And I love quarterbacks. I love watching them play, and this kid has been electric. And to see it happening for the Commanders, um, to see what that franchise has been through, to have this little ray of hope for them to do it, it makes the whole game better. The NFC East makes the entire NFL better. So if they're all good, you're going to have marquee games, and he's going to be on prime time. I guarantee you, if however many games you can be put on prime time, they're going to be done. Not only those, but they'll also be in the 4 o'clock games
They
as
get
well.
no less than 5 next year.
No
Guarantee
less
they'll
than
get no
5.
less than 5 next year.
Okay, and then they're probably going to play a majority of their game at 4 o'clock. Am I wrong? Like game of the weeks? Probably. I'm just saying, like, marketing wise, the NFL needs something to hang their hat on. So I wouldn't be surprised if they have a lot of games in those 4 o'clock windows. You're going to see a lot of Jaden Daniels next year. That's what the NFL loves. And they're going to try to get these matchups that they love, especially with a team like the Eagles who just won the Super Bowl, right? You might start to see the old school NFC East kind of mid-90s, late 80s kind of jaunt here where teams are going to start to be good. They're going to have some rivalries. You're going to see some bigger games. These teams are now going to meet in bigger moments. And that's what you look for as in any division, right? I mean, look at the Browns, the Steelers, and the Bengals. Every year they're in the playoffs, it's a dogfight. Everybody's getting up. Like, it is just like every year, it is just, whoa, those teams want to see each other. You're going to start to get that when you have Jaden Daniels, when you have the Eagles, the Giants, and Cowboys. They'll get their time as well to kind of start to grow. So I'm excited to be a part of the NFC East. So fans, I know we talk about the Giants, but as a fan, man, whew.
You said something I love because the NFC East was built like that's one of the rivalries within the division. I mean, Eagle Giants games, Cowboys Commanders / Redskin games. I mean, those were bitter rivalries within the division as I was
Right.
growing up, man. Teams. I mean, obviously they all hate each other, but just you get the potential to get maybe some of that back and have it like have a little more meaning. It's not going to just be the Eagles maybe not necessarily just completely dominating the Giants. I mean, that might still happen this year, but maybe we'll see. Like you said, it's exciting. The NFC East is starting to get a little bit of juice back, man, behind it. And it feels good, man. I guess as a content creator, I love sitting here talking about this division as a whole. I'm gonna say I'm obviously gonna always be a New York Giant fan, but I love talking about this division as a whole because to me it's the best damn division in football
And
overall.
listen,
You know what I mean? As far historically
well,
at least.
no, I mean, I agree with well, obviously, it's the truth. Every team has a Super Bowl win and multiple Super Bowl wins, right? So you're not saying anything that's not true. Had they have down years, are the rivalries the same anymore? No, because usually one team's dominant over the other, whether it's the Cowboys or it's the Eagles. That's how it's been, right? Now the Commanders have a chance to throw their name in the hat, right? The free agency that we're going through, it makes you seem like, all right, they're on their way. And again, when we get to the Giants, we'll share where we're going with that. But I'm just saying, when I was growing up, those were your things. You play, and the games were meaningful even when you were 0-6, 0-8. It didn't matter what your record was. You just wanted to go beat those guys, right? And I feel like it's with the Commanders coming into the fold, you're going to have that team, that hatred. Like, let's knock off the big brother. Let's be that dominant team. The drama that's going to play out right in front of our eyes. Mind you, the other two teams, the Giants and the Cowboys, who will be taking up the rear, right, are going to be a part of that history as well. The Cowboys still have a solid team talent-wise. They haven't made many free agent moves. So we'll see how that goes with them. And how they're drafting and what they're going to do, right? They're going to rely heavily on building their team like that. And we'll get to the Cowboys in a minute. But what I'm trying to allude to is take it all in. Like I understand no Mets, and I don't take anything away from people who don't want. If you don't want to follow the Commanders because you're a Giant fan, you're like, screw the Commanders, man. F this. I've been doing this for years. Fine. I mean, that's fine. Like I hated a lot of our rivals growing up as well as a kid. Donovan McNabb, you're overrated, man. Eli Manning's the best quarterback in the league. Like I'm there with you. All I'm saying is, it's just when I grew up, I had Emmitt Smith, I had Michael Strahan, I had, the Eagles were good. They had their team with Andy Reid in that time. So the ebbs and flows. And even when the Giants in the mid '90s, where I was growing up, the rivalry was great. The first game in 1997 for Jim Fossil was beaten by the Eagles. Right, Ray Rhodes came in there and they tried to do their thing, and they had Sam Garnes up the sideline for a 95-yard touchdown. So I'm just saying the rivalry. We needed to come back in the NFL, and we're rambled on a little too long about Washington, but that's how I feel. AJ Dillon, nice.
Absolutely.
Mitch with the live
AJ
update.
Dillon to the Eagles apparently. What the hell? But let's move on to the Dallas Cowboys. Talk a little bit of the Cowboy talk. And they've been fairly quiet in free agency. Honestly, they haven't made a whole lot of noise. Not too much. Not too much splash stuff with the Dallas Cowboys. But Jerry Jones pretty much said he was satisfied with his team for the most part. He didn't feel like they needed do a whole lot of do too much in free agency, and he seems to be standing by that. He said he feels like everything his team needs, he'd be able to acquire in the draft for the most part. And yeah, they've been pretty quiet thus far. Pretty much just handling signing most of their own free agents, and bringing in Javonte Williams, an interesting one at running back. I mean, I think he's might not be quite the guy he was a couple of years ago, but he's still an upgrade from what they were rolling with in Dallas all of last season in that backfield. So I mean, that's probably about their biggest name they've picked up. I mean, some work on the offensive line and Robert Jones, and then Solomon Thomas at D tackle. But what's your thoughts on the Dallas Cowboys all season thus far, Adam?
I mean, it's been pretty quiet. I don't. I mean, and I think we're used to the Cowboys again, mid '90s, signing everybody under the sun, right? They had Emmitt Smith. When I started watching football, again, with early to mid '90s, Deion Sanders was the hot free agent. Well, guess where he was going, right? He was going to Big D in 1995. That was where it was going. 1995, $35 million contract. Never forget it. Highest paid cornerback at that time. I mean, $35 million now. And I don't want to do the interest rate. I'm not a mathematician. You can get the gist of it. But he was the hottest ticket right there in that team. And that team came in and dominated. They still had Emmitt Smith. They went on to win the Super Bowl. Their last great team, right? So that's how I'm used to seeing the Cowboys. So signing a few, long snappers and, re-upping some of their own guys. I mean, I think they're trying to clear cap space for signing, Micah Parsons. That's what it seems to be doing. But they got some guys back. No, they haven't had a few. All they did sign. Well, they got a running back, Javonte Williams. I mean, I don't. That doesn't really mean much. He's a scat back. Robert Jones add depth in our offensive line. Solomon Thomas adds a little depth to your defensive line, right? And Peyton Turner, also another depth piece signing. Now, remember, they're. I had to look it up. Their defensive coordinator is Eberflus. So while they're putting together their defense, look for what they need and how the Bears played last year, and you're going to get to see how the Cowboys might be built this season. And I think what you'll see is, more of attacking style with Michael Parsons moving all over the place and things like that. So to have some of these signings, they aren't great. They're just stopgaps because, again, they like to fill in with the draft. They also have signed their punter, their long snapper. Marquise Bell was a DB, another safety they signed. They got another guy, Brock Hoffman, on the line, and CJ Goodwin, who's a great special teamer for them. And, of course, the big move that they made was re-signing the defensive tackle, Osa Odighizuwa. People forget about that, but that was a big signing as well. So they put a lot of investment into that. They still have Mozzie Smith on the D-line, and I'm sure what they're trying to do right now is gear up. I think you're going to see them go. You already saw them go in the low-end guard market. They do have a solid coach that can get them that they block well. They also have dealt with Zach Martin last year, so they know what to do in terms of replacing him. So I think the Cowboys are going to, be a solid team. I'm not saying they're going to be overly good, but, they won 7 games last year. They'll probably win about 7 to 10 games this year. right? In that realm, probably be 500. They'll be competitive against the Giants. The Giants will be competitive against them, and the rest of the NFC East. But they may not be the powerhouse that they are. But they will. They still have Dak Prescott. They still have CeeDee Lamb. They might get a receiver or a running back in the draft to add a little bit more explosivity to that offense. I think that's what they need. If they could get Genty, that's probably the guy I'd look at getting. Because look at the running backs are doing. Imagine they had an actual back that could take it to the house in an instant and still have CeeDee Lamb. And then maybe in the draft, you pick up a Cooper Kupp. I know they're not in the sweepstakes for him. I mean, they may or may not get him. But imagine if you picked up Cooper Kupp on a cheap deal. So you'd have CeeDee Lamb, Cooper Kupp out there, and you'd still have your tight end and Ferguson. Your offensive line's pretty good. And then you had Ashton Genty in the backfield. Yours really upgrades your team instantaneously. So, the Cowboys, I think, are going to try to sign a lot of these young term guys because they sign their players. They like to sign their guys that they draft, right? Trayvon Diggs on the trade block. I don't know if they've cut him yet, but he's there. They just got a corner from the Buffalo Bills, Elam, I think his name is. I'm pronouncing his name wrong, I think. But he was a corner. I think that'll add some versatility in the backfield for them. If they do lose Trayvon Diggs, I think they did cut him, right? Did they cut Trayvon Diggs?
I don't.
Or they were looking
about that.
Let me just make sure. Cowboys
I
trade.
didn't hear anything official about that.
So, I mean, if they keep Trayvon Diggs, then getting to this corner may help them. They need some cornerback help anyways. So we'll see. They got I just think the Cowboys are going to be ho-hum this year. Again, Eberflus is a decent coordinator. So I think their defense, when they put it together, will be, admirable. Odigozua on the line, a couple other guys they have on that line. I think they lost DeMarcus Lawrence, if I'm not mistaken.
He's a free agent. Well, he's a free agent. I don't think he's signed. I don't know if he signed with anybody yet, but he's definitely a free agent that they did not re-sign.
Yeah, well, I don't think he's coming back.
I didn't hear about him signing with anyone yet. I feel like if he was, they would have already took care of him. If like they've done everybody else, they seem to want to resign.
Maybe they are.
I feel like.
Oh no, DeMarcus Lawrence went to the Seahawks.
They might.
He signed with
Seattle.
Seattle.
Did sign. Okay.
Yeah, so he's signing with Seattle, which is interesting move by them. So they're clearly retooling on that defensive line. They did have Sam Williams last year who played there, so that might be his replacement. Remember, he blew out his knee. So there's a lot of guys they've invested in the draft who they're going to believe in. I think that's what the Cowboys' new philosophy is: believe in your own players and see how it works out for you. And we'll see how it works out for them. I mean, again, they still have Dak Prescott. We'll see what they do in the draft. Again, I would probably get a playmaker. I think that's what they need on offense. And then I'd probably draft offensive line, and then some defensive players, some defensive backs, or something like that. Because I really just feel like the Cowboys, or maybe some linebackers too. I think the Cowboys are going to be like a 500 team. I don't think they're going to fall to the depth of being mediocrely bad because that's just not who they are talent-wise. And if Eberflus is a coach, so if Schottenheimer sucks, Eberflus is kind of there. So, if things go haywire, you could see Eberflus be the coach at some point if it goes haywire. So I think that's why they brought him in. I think it's going to be interesting to see what the Cowboys do. And I can't believe I'm saying this now in March, but they'll probably be fighting for fourth place, in the division. Depending on how certain things play out, and that's not a bad thing because I have the third and fourth place teams winning about 7 games, 7-8 games. So because the other two teams I think are going to be in it, the Eagles and the Commanders we just talked about. I think they're going to, be double digits at least. And I think these teams, are going to show that, they're heading in that direction. So anyways, Mac, your turn.
Yeah, well, like you said, I mean, the Cowboys, Jerry Jones is, taking care of pretty much his own. He still kind of feels like this team is still didn't need as much as other people seem to think. You know what I mean? And that's how he feels. But he kind of let's take it. That's going to kind of transition a little bit to something else with Jerry Jones. And it's the way he gambles with his superstars, so to speak. He gambled with CD Lamb a season ago, Dak a couple of years ago. He kind of gambles with these guys instead of taking care of them, and then it kind of raises the price up on what he has to pay these guys. And this year, obviously, he's going to be dealing with that same thing with Micah Parsons, man. Obviously, the Myles Garrett contract the sign that did no favors for Jerry Jones and being able to get something done with Micah Parsons now. I mean, as that contract is through the absolute roof, you're not. I mean, you would assume that Micah Parsons is not going to want to put his name on anything where he's getting anything less than what Micah Parsons than what Myles Garrett just got. You see this kind of maybe potentially dragging out and developing into something bigger than the Cowboys need to be dealing with right now?
Repeat that. Sorry.
I'm saying with the Michael Parsons thing, like, do you just feel like that with the contract Miles Garrett signed this past week or whatever, that contract, I mean, now the highest paid non quarterback in NFL history, you think Michael Parsons would even dare put his name on anything that's going to pay him anything less than that? I mean, I'm sure you got to figure he's going to want more. And if the Cowboys would have just took care of him maybe a season ago, or just took care of him, already took care of him, maybe something like this wouldn't have been an issue. But Jerry Jones seems to always drag his feet with these kind of things for one reason or another.
Uh, I mean, I think he's going to want that. I don't think it's going to be that number because Miles Garrett and Micah Parsons, while they're both very good Hall of Fame talent worthy guys, and I don't want to, prematurely put Micah on there, but he's on that trajectory, folks. I mean, the guy is a freaking beast. I don't want to jinx him, but I would ask for that money, and he deserves that money. I mean, he's a game changing defensive player. Every time you go play the Cowboys, who are we talking about every week? Who are we talking about every week? The kid's 25. Who are we talking about every week when we go play the Cowboys? No matter what.
Exactly.
Every week. The guy had 12 sacks last year. He had 14 sacks this year. I mean, 52 sacks. He's the only guy since Myles Garrett to basically, folks, he's on a Myles Garrett level. Myles Garrett has, double-digit sacks every year. This guy's on that level right now in terms of his impact on the field. And so, yeah, he's going to start the bidding war at that. I want to be paid as close to, if not the. And you know what? The Cowboys should do it. The Cowboys should, one, because it's the Cowboys. You want to be in the headlines? This guy loves your team. Make him the face of your franchise right now. Do it. All right? Who cares about his podcast? The guy is a phenomenal player. Now, the problem that you have with him is I feel like they don't – he needs to be on the field more. They take him off the field a lot, At least they did last year. I don't know what Eberflus is going to do this year. I don't know how he's going to deploy him in – the defense. So we'll get more on that as the Cowboys go. I don't know if he'll be playing kind of like a rover linebacker where he's just kind of like wherever I line you up, go get the quarterback type of thing, or if he's going to drop in coverage. I mean, if I'm Micah Parsons, I would never drop in coverage. I'm like, he has no interceptions, but that guy does one thing and one thing only. Go get the quarterback. You're in the league how many years? You already have 52 sacks, right? He's been in the league 5 years. 4 seasons. The kid's 25 years old. He already has 52 sacks. Let's just say in the next 4 years, that'd be 8 seasons, right? He has another 50 sacks. We're talking about 102 sacks, and he'll only be in year 8, probably at 28, 29, right? 29. He's already 25 right now. So imagine that what we're talking about right now. Fast forward to that. The Cowboys need to pay him now. They should have paid him last year, but like you said, they take their time in doing these things. They did it with CD Lamb, they did it with Dak Prescott, and I'm sure we're going to get across the ticker this summer that they're signing Micah Parsons to a mega deal. I'm sure that's what they're trying to do.
I mean, they just
he's a cornerstone, and they should.
yeah. I mean, like you said, you said it best, man. This guy, he's a savage, man. Like, he's a game wrecker when he's on that field, man. He wrecks games. He's just a phenomenal talent, and to me, it doesn't make sense to even go through this. You shouldn't even put. What Micah Parsons is. The difference maker he is, and that you need him on your football team. And there's no reason to even entertain, like as if there's a possibility that you're not going to pay this man what he's worth. And now that looks like that number's going to be a whole lot more than you probably anticipated. Because, like I said, that Miles Garrett deal just elevated things to a whole new level, man.
Right. And
Elevated things to a completely new level, man.
I don't know if he's going to get as long of a deal because he might want to, strike it big again. Because the trend now that some people are saying is these shorter contracts people want, but they want more guarantees. So it might be a 3-year deal, worth up to $160 million, something that would put him in that stratosphere being the highest paid player in the NFL or a non-quarterback or whatever in the NFL. Whether it's a 4-year deal, 5-year deal, like I don't think they're going to structure it too long, but that's where I think he's going to end up, right? That Myles Garrett deal is that he's going to want that and more, and he's younger, right? Right now he's younger. Again, I would love to see because he has 43 tackles, which means it's not a lot of tackles, right? But when you watch the Cowboys, he wasn't in the game a lot. Like he would be in the game and then he'd be taken out for a few series. Then he'd be in the game and be taken out for a few series. And then I think back to the Lawrence Taylor days, that guy never came off the field. Am I wrong? Like that guy never came off the field. And what that means is you always have to have the chess piece of him on the field. If your defense is not good with him on it, and you put him in there and you're dominating, well, why would you want to put that in more, right? You don't have anybody like him. There's sometimes the rare ones you got to leave out there. Look at Myles Garrett. Prime example of the guy we're talking about. I know this is the NFC East, but let's just touch on him to get my point across. The point is that guy plays through foot injuries. He plays through back injuries. He plays through knickknacks, and he's still getting 17 sacks a game. He's still wrecking a game. He's still getting game-changing plays every week. That guy's doing that. That's the type of player Micah Parsons is. But Garrett never comes off the field. He never comes off the field. And this is what Micah Parsons needs to get to. You need to put that guy on the field and, let him go and see what happens. I'd love to see him get, he averaged his last few years, right? He had 43 tackles this year. He's had 64, and his first year he had, I think I need glasses. I think it's 64 again, right? So he's had like around roughly 65 tackles he got right now, right? I don't want to necessarily see more, but I'd like to see more to see, right, how many tackles will he get, right? You know what I'm saying? Like how many sacks would he get if he was on the field a lot more? How many more game-wrecking plays is he going to be on the field for? So that's why I'm saying, like, if you want to get paid like Myles Garrett, you're gonna have to play like Myles Garrett. And you're gonna need to not come off the field.
Well, I mean, but also you gotta also think like you said what he had. You said he had 12 sacks last season. Well, I mean think about the amount of time he also missed last year. And I mean with the injury he was dealing with during the middle part of the year. I mean.
And he still had sacks.
He's a phenomenal talent to me. Yeah, when he's on the field, he is a difference maker. He's a bona fide difference maker.
And that's what I mean. Keep him on the field.
Top 5 in his positional group easily. Easily. Well, they may have to now this year. I mean, it looks like they may have to. They may be going in that direction because, like you said, losing a guy like DeMarcus Lawrence, who was obviously a big part of that front seven and things that makes a bit of a difference, man. So we'll see how it happens. I can see this being a saga going into the summer, though.
They are getting Sam Williams back. Remember, right? He blew out his ACL this year, so I think he'll help in the pass rush. I know they lost Golston to the Giants, and we'll get into him in a few minutes. But I just think. We can't. I think Eberflus is a strong coach. I was really wondering that the other day. I'm like, they had Mike Zimmer. Like I just forgot. And I looked up. I'm like, oh, Eberflus. What is he known for? He's known for defense. I'm sure he's going to come in there, and that defense is going to be probably the unit that's going to probably start out well. And then the offensive unit, Schottenheimer's already been there, so there's going to be some familiarity there. They're probably running the same scheme, but it'll just be called differently with Mike McCarthy. They were there last year, so I doubt the offense is going to change drastically, right? So. But for Micah Parsons, I just want to see him on the field more. I hate to say this as a content creator because I hate the Cowboys, but you want to see the best players out there. You want to see the Hall of Famers out there. The thing that made Barkley so special is because he was out there all the time, right? And he's always making a difference, and that's what you want. And I just need to see, if I'm the Cowboys, I know I'm going to pay him. I got my number, but I want to see on the field, man. I want to see who, just be out there and be a crazy person.
Absolutely, man. So we'll keep an eye on that ongoing saga all through the all season, man, all through the summer. I'm sure that the conversations about that will be definitely ramping up, man, because that's going to be a big thing coming down the pike and throughout this off season is the Micah Parsons contract situation, man. But let's move on to the defending world champion Philadelphia Eagles, man. Once again, just kind of they've lost a couple of guys. Obviously, they've definitely lost a couple of guys here, but they've also made a couple of key signings, man, as well, man. Retaining Zach Bond. That was the big one for me. That definitely was a big one, and extending Saquon Barkley, restructuring that deal, making him the highest paid running back in the league. I think deservedly so at this point after what he did a season ago for this team. So Philadelphia Eagles, man, making some moves. I mean, trading Kenny Pickett away, but acquiring Dorian Thompson and Robinson in that trade, a quarterback that if Jalen Hurts was to go down, you got a guy with a skill set that can come in and maybe do some of the same things, and he won't really lose much. You don't have to change the offense up too much, hopefully. So just think about what the Philadelphia Eagles have been doing thus far in the early part of the offseason, man.
I think the Philadelphia Eagles, some people will say they haven't done much. I think they've done pretty well. You got to think, again, we forget that our free agents or the team's free agents are still free agents, right? So signing Zach Bond, getting that done, I think that was one of the more important signings for the Eagles. So we'll see what happens there. And then you got extending Barkley, getting the guard from Houston. Obviously, they don't want to sign Mekhi Becton, but getting that guard from Houston. A.J. Dillon's an interesting back. Getting another guy that can kind of pound the defense into submission. They realize that Barkley can't run for 2,000 yards every season, or at least we want to keep him fresh for the games, right? A.J. Dillon gives you that 1-2 punch with Barkley and your offensive line. Now that you also got that guy from Houston to put in there, I think the Eagles will probably look for the best offensive lineman in the draft, to kind of replenish that. I know Lane Johnson's getting up there in age, so you're going to need to replace him and get guys into the pipeline. I like Smitty. I was just thinking about Devontae Smith the other day. I was like, wow, he's one of the smoothest receivers in the NFL that we don't really talk about. And he's very good, right? And I think I think I like what they've done. They've been quiet. I know they lost C.J. Gardner-Johnson, but they bring in a guard, right? And you know that Jeff Stoutland is going to make that guard into a Pro Bowler. So, and that was a top-end guard that was from Houston. I don't know what they're doing in Houston. Don't ask me. But they had assets to burn, right? They didn't sign Darius Slay back. They lost C.J. Gardner-Johnson, but they have guys to replace them. I looked at their roster the other day, and I'm like, damn, man, the Eagles haven't really lost much, right? They haven't lost much. They still have Jeremiah Trotter Jr. coming in. They have Jacoby Dean. They've got Zach Bond. They have the two corners in Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell, who, they made two of the biggest plays in the Super Bowl and playoffs. They're like, we don't need these old guys in Bradbury and Slay anymore. And then they have Eli Ricks. I know Eli Rogers left, but they still have Ricks. They still have Sidney Brown, Blake Blankenship. Why I know all these names is beyond me, but I was doing my research because I was just curious when I was having a conversation with a fan, are the Eagles really in a bad shape? And you look at them and they're not, they may not be Super Bowl good, but they'll be a good team. Let's put it that way. And they, I know they lost Milton Williams, but they just signed another D tackle, I think. I forget who it was, but, but they're going to be fine. They're really going to be fine. And they have their offense, right? They still have their offense. They still have Saquon Barkley, and as long as they have him, they'll be pretty good.
Look, right now they still have most of their major weapons offensively, like you just said. But it comes down to like it's kind of you saw what you got from Cooper DeJean this season. Quinion Mitchell, those were two great draft picks from the Philadelphia Eagles a season ago. So it makes it easy to part ways with Slade Jr. Sure, was he still playing at a pretty high level? Sure, he was. But at the end of the day, why keep that money on the books when you have these two young guys that are on rookie deals that you're going to have playing at a probably high level on the cheap? I mean, why bother keeping Slade's contract on your books? You know what I mean? A guy like that. I mean, they lost a couple other key guys, like you mentioned, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who
Josh
they
Sweat
seem to
was
just rent
big
for
too.
another year, and Josh Sweat and Josh Sweat. That was a big one. I mean, Josh Sweat was definitely a huge one. But at the end of the day, we talked about it with this Philadelphia Eagle team. There's no team in the NFL to me has the depth of the Philadelphia Eagles. So it's just next man up with this football
Right.
team. They'll continue to do that. You know what I mean? And they've proven it's been a proven winner for them. I mean, I don't see this team falling off at all. They're still at the top of the mountain in this division, and everybody else is looking up at them right now. And I think there's just no doubt about that. I don't care. Yes, we talked about Washington having a pretty good, really good, strong start to the off season, and Dallas, they're just Dallas, you know, and we know the Giants are, but everybody's looking up at the Eagles still. I mean, even with some of the key players they lost, like you said, just with they retained their best player on offense this season. They've retained their best player on defense this season. I mean, look, it just is what it is. They took care of those guys, and they still are loaded with talent. Still loaded with talent, and they've proven also the Eagles have been drafting at the back end of the first round pretty much for the last I don't know how many years. They they figure it out. They figure it out. They bring guys in. They figure it out. Last season, they were able to acquire, like I said, Cooper DeJean and Quinion Mitchell from where they were drafting at. Come on, that shouldn't even have happened, but yet it did because it seems to always happen for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Did we forget about
I
Jalen
just don't
Carter?
look. Yeah, Jalen Carr. I mean, just stuff like that. Like that should have never happened. Like that he should have never fell to the Eagles. But you know, people the court when you're guilty in the court of public opinion, it's how it goes sometimes, man. And then people that kid slid, and the Eagles had no problem pouncing. So I still expect a lot from this Philadelphia Eagle team. I mean, look, you never know how things can go once the season starts. You know, things could go a different direction. We see it every year, but I just feel like this team is still really, really good. And the offseason is still early in the offseason. Let's not fake it. Ain't like they're done. They're not done making moves. They're gonna continue to figure out ways to try to make their team even better. You know what I mean? And then they've, like I said, proven to draft well. So I expect nothing less from this Philadelphia Eagle team. Expect to see them continue to be a top team in not only in this division in the league. So I mean, in addition to AJ Dillon, we haven't talked about that yet as well. I mean, look, he's not necessarily a super. Wouldn't call him a dynamic running back, but he is a load. He is a load. To after dealing with Saquon Barkley, and then they're going to roll that guy out there because they also did lose Kenneth Gainwell to the Pittsburgh Steelers as well. He signed with the Steelers, so he is gone. Who had been a solid backup for them throughout his start of his career. But to bring a guy like AJ Dillon in, man, that's just insane to me, man. After like I said, dealing with Saquon Barkley, then you're gonna got to deal with this guy. But AJ Dillon is almost like an equivalent, almost of Brandon Jacobs in a sense, at least from a size standpoint. This is a massive man to be playing the running back position. So it, just buckle up. The Eagles are, to me, they're more or less just reloading. You know what I mean? They like I think I listened to Howie Roseman speak a couple of days ago on some show. And like he said, you know, at the end of the day, we can't keep everybody. We'd love to keep everybody, but you can't keep everybody. So you got to just cut your losses, man. Sure, they had some key guys walk away, but this team is just retooling, man, and they've proven that they know what they're doing, man. They know how to get it done. So I'll be looking. We'll see, man. We'll see what the Eagles do, man. But I don't see anybody talking about this team falling off. I'm not. I got to see that first to believe it because I think this team is still absolutely loaded with talent, man, and they're going to be a tough out for anybody. at this point. What's going on in the chat? We got Ghost Man Ron. How you doing, man? Thanks for stopping in. Daniel Barry, thanks for stopping in, brother. And hand over fist.
We have to, we have
Congrats
to,
to
we
the
have
Eagles on the
to.
Super Bowl win. All right.
Breaking news. Well, it's not that breaking. It's been an hour, but the Cowboys. We didn't mention this. They got Kenneth Murray from the Tennessee Titans. They're finalizing a trade with him. So the Cowboys get a primetime linebacker on their defense. They have Odigizua now on their defense. They got a corner as well. So they're starting to build something over there slowly but surely. So just wanted to let people know about that.
Absolutely, man. Teams in the NFC East, man. Teams like that. I mean, I'm not even. Do I dare say even the New York Giants look like they might be understanding the assignment slightly? We still yet to be all the way determined. Still got a big void in that quarterback room, but I mean, I'm not all that upset with some of the things that we've been seeing the New York Giants do. Unless you have some more thoughts on the Eagles, we can slide into the New York Giants if you want.
Nope,
You want to
go
have
right
some
ahead.
more thoughts on what the Eagles have been doing. Yeah, let's slide with the New York Giants then, man. Let's go. I mean, New York Giants been fairly active. I mean, re-signing some of their players and also signing some guys, getting some offensive linemen. Uh, Brought in Javon Holland at safety. I think that's a major upgrade. I'm excited about that pickup right there from the Dolphins. Javon Holland has been a legitimate talent over the course of the last few years, and I think he's still young. So that's a really good move for the New York Giants. Some say they might have overpaid a bit. I don't necessarily think so. It's just the market is what the market is, and you got to pay guys. I mean, it just is what it is. I mean, bringing in the Chauncey Golston, that could potentially be a good move for the New York Giants. You know, adding more depth on that defensive line. And like I said, resigning Darius Slayton and Paulson Adebo, another guy that can come in and help upgrade your cornerback room as well. I mean, now all of a sudden things look a little bit better in that defensive backfield than it did the last game of the season for perhaps, man. Our lasting memory of this team at the end of the year. They've definitely upgraded the defensive back room already just through the first couple of days of free agency. How do you feel about the New York Giants moves they made early on, Adam?
I have a very good feeling about the Giants. And listen, I thought about this. Folks on this show know how real I get with the Giants and how I don't put my fanhood in front of me. Well, I'm excited a little bit about what the Giants are doing. I don't want to get overly excited. I don't want to, throw a victory lap parade for Joe Shane or anything like that. But I like some of the things that he's done. I had conversations with friends, and one of them has brought up Big Blue in the Bronx. Brought up to me, he's like, the Giants don't have a lot of players that they have under contract long term, right? And I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, yo, Joe Shane hasn't signed any of his draft picks from really 2022 on. And so while I like what he's doing with these 3-year deals, and I like what he's doing with the roster right now, at least in the defense, and I told you guys they're going to be heavy in the defense. I said that's probably where they spend a lot of their free agent money, right, and possibly a quarterback. But I think Javon Holland, we needed a safety. He's one of the best. I know people are like, well, could have paid McKinney. Who cares, bro? He learned from his mistake. You got Javon Holland. We got an actual safety here who's 25 years old, who's going to be here in his prime, for the next couple of years. Get excited about that. Paulson Adebo, right? That's a signing that, again, another player that was drafted high, coming off a contract. These are the type of players you wanted them to look at. Guys that were coming off injuries that might have some potential to be good, right, on your team. But they because they're injured, you lucked out because, oh, man, their market's not going to be that high, or maybe somebody's not thinking about them the same way. We can pay them because we believe we got the best corner on the market in Paulson Adebo, right? So they got him, right? They think they got the best safety at the top of the market. They get him now, right? Ball hawking safety where they obviously lost Pinnock, and this can allow Tyler Newman to be down, more like a strong safety type. We're coming downhill. That'll help you stop the run a little bit. Remember, we couldn't stop the run. Well, guess what? You can't stop the run if your free safety doesn't know what the heck he's doing. Hollins allows you to have single high, be a lot more, 9, 10 the box type of thing, because you can have Holland covering for your corners or anybody like that. So I think that was a good move. Golston move is very interesting to me. Again, another guy, 3rd round pick from the Cowboys, coming up. He just had his best season with the Cowboys. You get him for cheap, basically. Edge players like that probably would be making more money. He's got a 3-year, $19 million net deal. That's not even that much money, right? To be basically a rotational player. And give you some pass rush and some inside snaps. Kind of I don't want to use this term, but I get like a Justin Tuck kind of guy, where he can play traditional defensive end for you, and then he can go kick inside if you want to do some pass rushing on 3rd down, 3rd and long, that type of thing. That's what he did with the Cowboys. And I think he'll stick with it. He's like I said, he's like about 6'5", 270, like a regular defensive end would have been back in a 4-3. So this allows you some versatility. I like him there. The linemen, they're not the greatest linemen, but they're swing tackles. I don't think that they wanted to shop at the high end of the market. I still think there are some guys they might bring in, but hear me out, folks. Someone just mentioned this on Twitter, but I also had this thought. Notice how they brought in 2 tackles. Are they signaling to us that they're going to try to move a guy inside and let the best player play at guard? And then, of course, for example, maybe they'll move Illuminor and Neal to tackle, because right now I don't see, unless they invest in one in the draft, I don't really see high-end linemen right now on the team. They did invest in, some linemen, but obviously not the greatest. The Hubbard guy, he comes from the Browns. The Browns are saying that he's terrible. Who knows what he'll be here with Carmen Priscillo. But, and the lineman behind them, Josh Azudu, more competition. It's intriguing to see, because if you are really moving Evan Neal to guard, maybe you're saying, I don't want to spend in the guard market because I want to give Evan Neal the job to lose, and I have an Illuminor, and then I have these other tackles so I can possibly plug in there in case, I need to, this experiment with Evan Neal doesn't go right. Like, that's just me thinking outside the box a little bit, but that's what I think. You're signing 2 tackles when you already have a few tackles on the roster. That's my only thinking. And they said they need a right guard. And, they lost out on Will Fries. Obviously, he got paid. He went to Minnesota. He got paid big bucks, right? So, I know I'm missing a few other signings they have. Gotten Darius Slayton. I didn't think Darius Slayton would be brought back, but I guess he is the best receiver that's on the market. I guess he knows the offense. You're not paying him. You're paying him pretty much within the range that he would be getting anywhere else. So I guess he's back. And then, they had the D tackle. I don't really know much about him, but, he's probably just a run stuffer rotational player, high-end rotational player. The Giants needed depth. They've gotten some depth. But I like what they've done. I think it's exciting as a Giant fan, because right now I think they're going to be a competitive football team with that defense at least. At least defensively, to me, they're going to be in it. Now, on the other side of the football, the big missing piece, I think the Giants have been stupid. And let's hope they don't be stupid. We have to I guess we should get into this back. The elephant in the room. The quarterback position.
We definitely can. But before we go down there, because once we go in, I think that's going to be we're going to go deep down that rabbit hole. I got a feeling. But I just wanted to see how, also just mention another guy they brought in that's a good signing, a special teamer. Chris Board. I think that's actually a low key, really good signing. This guy is one of the best special team coverage men in the league. I think that
Amir Marset
on signings like this. And they re-signed Amir Marset, who also was pretty solid for the New York Giants a season ago as well, returning the kicks. So I think the Giants are low key. People aren't talking that much about them because obviously, like you said, that elephant in the room that we are about to address right now is still looming over their heads. But
let me ask you right now, how do you feel without the elephant in the room? Let's take that out right now. How are you feeling as a Giant fan this offseason as opposed to last offseason?
I'm a little more optimistic coming into right now. Just after these first couple of days of free agency, I at least feel like positive moves have been made. Even though, like I said, I won't really feel I can't I won't ever feel good until I can see some form of something at the quarterback position. And it's not what other people seem to think or want either. I'm not all about. I'm not about that. Aaron Rodgers life, and I'm not really about that. But I think right now I'm feeling pretty okay. Like I said, I'm feeling better right now than I was this time a season ago. Put it that way. I feel a lot better right now about the New York Giants than I did a season ago at this same juncture. As I was watching our guys walk away, watching all of our good talent walk away and not really getting anything of real substance in here. So I definitely feel better. I think a couple of the signings we've made have definitely are going to definitely be difference makers. Like I said, I feel so much better about the secondary right now than I did even a few weeks ago. I mean, a few days ago. They're better than I did about a few days ago. The secondary, I think, because you got to also remember, like you said, you talked about Tyler Newman as well, and Drew Phillips also, that nickel cornerback that also had a tremendous rookie season. So I think things are looking a little bit up, man.
But no Mets, no Mets. I want to just say this, right? I've seen, you've seen off-season optimism before. Well, guess what? You haven't seen off-season optimism from me, right? I've always been doom and gloom and blah blah blah. This off-season has been a little bit more refreshing, to say the least, so far. There are other issues that we can deal with, and Mac and I are going to talk about right now. But as a Giant fan, this has been the best start to a free agency that you could ask for, right? So let's get into it.
I agree. Let's do it. Take the wheel, man. Take the wheel.
So we are driving this car called a Quarterback Alley, right? People think that the fight is over. No, the Daniel Jones cloud is gone, right? And good for him for getting $17 million from a dumb team. I wouldn't have paid him that much, but hey, that's not me.
Daddy?
1 second. Yes.
Well, Daniel Jones is going in there to compete. Actually, for what I'm hearing, reports I'm hearing, he's going in to actually compete for the starting job. He's not just going in
So,
there just to be the
exactly.
backup. He's actually.
But Daniel
We'll
Jones,
see.
one quarterback down. So here we are, the Giants. We push our chips to the table. We don't get Matthew Stafford. Now we're shaking ass for a 41-year-old quarterback who's on a beach somewhere with a robe over his head trying to play us. Trying to play us. The guy almost didn't have a job 2 weeks ago, and it was linked to everything the Giants are going to walk in and get Aaron Rodgers, right? All of a sudden, now his value goes up. I heard a number where he wants 2 years, $90 million. Yeah, go kick rocks, Aaron. 2 years, $90 million. You've got to be out your damn mind if I'm paying that to a 41-year-old who wants to be on cruise control. Get the hell out of here. All right. You can take your little Zen and your little, juju and whatever you do. Take it over there. It's already drama filled right now. It's so much drama in 2 days. Like, when is this over? Well, he's going to pick the Steelers. No, he's going to pick the Vikings. No, he might pick the Giants. But pick it already, man. Pick it. Nobody cares. You're not that same quarterback anymore. We don't give up. But of course, Aaron Rodgers and the damn NFL love this. They're dragging it out. This couldn't be more dramatic if you put it on a soap opera. I could be watching Days of Our Lives right now. It's the same shit with Aaron Rodgers right now. Every week, you don't communicate with this team. Move on. If I'm the Giants, I'm moving on. But the Giants, who are fucking shaking ass for whatever quarterback they see, is standing there waiting, saying, hey, we're over here. Don't forget about us. I mean, there is some good news because they're looking into possibly Russell Wilson. But my God, shit or get off the pot. You got your options are running out, and they're running out quickly. Okay, you got Daniel Jones signing here, you got Sam Darnold signing here, you got Geno Smith moving, right? You have Aaron Rodgers who's played you and is probably going to Pittsburgh. That's leaving Russell Wilson, who's now thinking about going to the Browns. I don't know how serious that is. Now he could be signed there. Or if not the Titans or something like that, right? So you're sitting on your hands and knees waiting for this guy. Make moves. Don't let Aaron Rodgers dictate to you, okay? First off, you don't even know it's going to be a good year. It will be solid with Aaron Rodgers. Don't get me wrong. It'll be fun to watch. You'll have 28 touchdowns. But will that get me wins? I don't know. But in Pittsburgh, for him, it's a better situation. And I'm not trying to tell him to go there. I don't care. I was not opposed to it, but then all of a sudden he's pulling this drama shit, and I'm like, yo, man, I ain't got time for all this nonsense, man. I got teams I gotta play. I got quarterbacks I gotta get. I don't need your fucking whack ass 41-year-old self doing nothing, trying to dictate terms to me. Is this MVP Aaron Rodgers I'm getting? No, it's fucking I'm gonna play 2 years Aaron Rodgers. You kidding me? It's like you know what it is. It's like the Aaron Rodgers that you threw out and you took him out of the you took him back out of the recycling bin and tried to flatten him out. Said, shit, I didn't want to throw that out. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to throw that. You're trying to flatten out the paper in the document. You know what I mean? Because you want to throw something out. You made that mistake. That's Aaron Rodgers right now. He's that wrinkly piece of paper that you're trying to flatten out. You ain't that same crisp piece of fucking paper that came out the fucking printer that's all clean and in our fucking picture frame. No, you got thrown out. And now you're fucking being regenerated, and now all of a sudden everyone's like, oh my God, I found this quarterback. I'm going to need him. Guess what? Go to a team that's actually winning. The Giants don't need this bullshit. I guarantee you right now, if the Giants walk away with one of these quarterbacks in the draft, you're not getting fired. I can tell you that right now. Okay, I can put it on there. Myra's not going to fire you. You know, you walk in there with Aaron Rodgers, you don't make the playoffs. Guess where you're going? You're going packing. And I would send your ass packing too, because here I am spending all this goddamn money on free agency and all this shit. And Aaron Rodgers comes in. I need to be competing with the Eagles. I can't be fucking third. I can't be second. I got to be number one when I bring this guy in. $90 million. There ain't no stopping. But if I only get 8 wins, your ass is out the door.
Great stuff. And I mean, that's pretty much how I feel about Aaron Rodgers. Exactly your same sentiments, man. Like it's just, to me, he in his own mind thinks he's still like 3-time MVP Aaron Rodgers. Still like, you're not that guy anymore, dude. You are a 41. And something that hit me, like people have been talking about, you know, is because once again, this is slightly dividing the fan base. I don't know what's these quarterbacks all of a sudden just dividing the Giant fan base. Slightly, you got the people that are like, oh yeah, you got to get Aaron Rodgers in here. You got to do whatever. Bring. Oh, he had 28 touchdowns last year. This, and that. He's still one of the best quarterbacks in the league last year. No, let me put it like this is shout out to the guys over at Two Giant Goofballs. They do great work over there. I was listening to one of their shows the other night, and I never thought about it quite like this until one of them. I can't remember which one of them said it, but one of them brought it up and it was just like, yeah, Aaron Rodgers had all those numbers look kind of impressive, but the reality is, if you go back and look at the tape, a lot of it was in garbage time. I mean, there was several games like a season ago you could watch where Aaron Rodgers was basically invisible for the first 2 or 3 quarters of a game. And when the game kind of didn't really much matter anymore, then he was out there, you know, throwing a couple touchdown passes in the fourth quarter here and there. Yeah, I'm not saying Aaron Rodgers isn't still good. But what I'm saying is he's not that guy to be still throwing out these demands for this kind of money. He has to humble himself and understand the situation right now. And I'm not, and the fact, like you said, the sitting around waiting on this guy, we're waiting on him. We're letting him dictate what we're going to do. I mean, look, you got Jameis Winston still sitting out there. Why is there no even attempt at trying to talk to this guy, negotiate with this guy, maybe bring him in as a bridge? What is the issue with that? Like what does this organ have against Winston? I mean, you're bringing Wilson in for a visit on Friday. Hell, I mean, what's going to happen if Aaron Rodgers says, "I want to go to the Giants tomorrow"? You're going to like, "Fuck you, Russell Wilson. You don't even bother coming by. We don't even want to talk to you now." Like, what is? I don't understand this. This the one position on this team that the New York Giants just can't seem to get right is this quarterback situation, man. Right now, Tommy DeVito, the only quarterback on the roster. That's just not a good look for any team. I mean, you watched all these quarterbacks drop off these last couple of days. I mean, and yet you still haven't made any kind of a move because we're waiting on Aaron Rodgers to choose between. It's apparently only down to Giants and Pittsburgh now at this point. And it's just like, give me a break, man. Give me a break. I don't care that his name is Aaron Rodgers. You can't let this man sit there and pretty much dictate to you how you're going to conduct your business. Either you want to come here or you fucking don't. Just let us know we can go and do what we need to do. But to be sitting around waiting on this guy, it's just an absolute joke to me, man. And I agree also, like you said, you get one of these young guys, you don't screw up the process, you get one of these young guys, Adam, like you said, that right there will pretty much protect your job. Unless it's just completely atrocious. It would take something like really, really, really bad, like for you to lose your job under those circumstances. You're gonna get that'll buy you a couple of more years, just that alone.
Right, but I mean,
So
like,
just bring in a bridge and bring in a decent bridge or somebody that maybe could take the lumps early part of the year, whatever. And while you're developing a young guy, and go from there, man. Like I just don't understand why we're complicating this whole process, this whole quarterback thing. I don't get it. I just don't. I can't figure it out.
well, how would you feel about Russell Wilson?
I'd be more okay. I'd be a little more okay with Russell Wilson. I mean, because he's a veteran guy that does seem to understand his situation now. He knows he's not. I mean, he knows
Does
he's
he
not that
know?
guy that he was in his great years in Seattle. I think he kind of does. I think he kind of does. I think he understands. I,
Well,
I
then,
feel like he. I mean, look at. I mean, he's going to go visit Cleveland, bro. Like he's. I mean, he's visiting us. I mean, like at this point,
well, no, I know
I think
us.
he kind of has more of a.
Well, what if he says, I want the Aaron Rodgers and Matt Stafford treatment? I want you to tell me that at 3, you're not going to draft a quarterback. Because, you know, that's what they've been thrown around, where they're telling guys we're not going to draft quarterbacks to try to entice these guys to come and play football with them or whatever, right? And to me, I don't want to, I don't want to have to do that with Russell Wilson. I just hope that he understands. Like, to me, and I just, I'll let you finish your point, and then I'll get to my Russell Wilson rant. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm just saying,
No, I just don't think Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's also not in that position for that kind of negotiation. I just don't agree with. I wouldn't agree with that, and there's no way. If I'm Joe Shane, am I signing off on that? If that's your condition of bringing you in, that we're not signing off on that. I'm not. You can't let yourself fall into that trap. You have an issue at quarterback. Aaron Rodgers ain't giving you more than another year or two, maybe at best. So you can't fall into that trap. You cannot allow these players to dictate to you what you're going to do and what you're not going to do. And you got a prime position right now in the draft. Quarterback is a major issue on this team. You only have one on the damn team right now in Tommy DeVito. Clearly, we know he ain't no fucking answer. So you got to do what you got to do. And if they can't handle that, then this ain't the place for them. Point blank and period. And you got to be strong with your commitment to that. You got to let them know, nah, if you want to sign here, you can sign here. We're all about you, but you're not going to tell us what we're going to do with that draft pick because we have some work to do and we got to get it done, man. So there's no way in the world I'm bringing anybody in on that condition. Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, you guys just players like you guys here. You're both future Hall of Famers. I feel like you're going to see both of these guys in Canton. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers is going to be in Canton, but Russell Wilson as well. He's had a Hall of Fame career. What he did in Seattle was masterful for many, many years. You're not those guys. You're not those guys anymore. Point blank and period. It happens to the best of them. I mean, it just is what it is. You're not those guys. You don't get to dictate what we're going to do anymore. What teams are going to do. You're at the tail end of your career. You're not our final solution. We're not bringing you in here to be the final solution. We're bringing you in here to help get us competitive again, and get the ball rolling on that while developing a young quarterback. That's what your purpose is. And if you can't understand that, then you're not for this team, man. Point blank and period. That's why I'm also like, why are we not contacting like a Jameis Winston or anything like that? I mean, like I said, he's still out there, and I feel like you kind of know what you're going to get. You know what I mean? With a guy like that, at least you know exactly what you're going to get from a Jameis Winston. And I just don't understand the lack of negotiation with him. Why his name is not swirling around the New York Giants at all, to be quite frank. But what's your take on Russ? On Russ?
Me on Russell Wilson, uh, I'm indifferent. I rather have him than Aaron Rodgers right now. To be honest with you, he doesn't stop me from drafting Shedeur Sanders or quarterback in the draft. Like with Aaron Rodgers, I could see them being like, "Oh, we'll wait till the third round to get a quarterback." Blah blah blah. With Russ, it's like full steam ahead, continue to get your quarterback. And I think you can win some games with Russ Wilson. I mean, you'll be competent. He's not great. Like, is he great? No. Is he elite? No. But would he be able to be competent enough to run your offense? Yes. Do I think you have to pay him? Like, you probably don't have to pay him as much. I mean, you probably have to give him some dummy years in the contract. Oh, I'll give you 3 years, blah, blah, blah. Really, it's dummy years, winnable years. It's really like a 1 year, $20 million deal or some shit, right? Which is coming off the books. And I think that's where I think if Russell Wilson gets to the Giants on Friday, I think that's where they'll be. I do believe that that Aaron Rodgers will be with the Steelers. Russell Wilson will probably be with the Giants. If not, we're gonna get like Joe Flacco. But I think Wilson's pretty good. I mean, I do not want Joe Flacco. Jameis Winston, I do agree with you, would be fun. And, is an intriguing option if Russell Wilson decides, you know what, Cleveland, I can play here. Like, what if Cleveland somehow finds money out their ass and they figure out, oh, well, we can pay you $20 million for 1 season. And the Giants are like, well, we're going to give you 2 years, $30 million, right? $15 million. You might want to go with the sure thing of $20 million. Oh, and now you're not going to draft a quarterback. You got Kenny Pickett in the building. You got me that you're paying at $20 million this year. And so maybe that is more enticing. And then the Giants are left holding the bag, fucking with Jameis Winston or Gardner Minshew. I mean, at this point, bringing Gardner Minshew would be a lot more fun to watch that guy run around and play quarterback. And, we would still be shitting, but at least you'd have, Russell Wilson, I'm turning my attention to him because of all the things, if he comes here Friday, I expect him to be signed, period. Point blank, period. Even if you tell him that you might draft a quarterback at 3, he's the only bridge that makes sense right now. He's less drama. He's already coming in. The fact that the Giants are bringing him in right now, you could say is a play against Aaron Rodgers, but to me, it's like, they know that they're not getting him, right? Because remember, if people are following the Aaron Rodgers story, you put the tea leaves together, all of a sudden the Steelers wanted Russell Wilson. Now they don't want Russell Wilson. Now they're going to let Russell Wilson now all of a sudden walk out to Cleveland with no regard for him. I think the answer is made. I think you know what's coming. Giants, if you want to be competitive and have a guy groom a young quarterback, because I think Russ is a solid guy to do something like that. I don't know if he'll do it. I mean, I don't know his ego. His ego may get in the way. Mr. Unlimited, Mr. Limited at this point in his career, right? So I don't know what that'll be, but I do feel like Russell Wilson is less drama. And it would usher in a new era of quarterback behind the Giants that I think would start to, alleviate some of the demons that are plaguing this team right now in certain areas, right? And I just think right now the Giants, who are trying to get Cam Ward, who are looking into the Shedeur Sanders market, I think Russell Wilson kind of ties that all together for you. He's good. He's well spoken. He's not going to do a podcast. You know that he's gonna. He just feels like a giant. Like if you're gonna tell me that what you're seeing right now with Aaron Rodgers, or what you're going to see with Russell Wilson, if he makes it out of Cleveland tomorrow, I think he'll be a giant by the weekend.
Well, we shall see, man. They need to figure out something with this quarterback saga, though. I mean, it just to me it's too important a position to be kind of spinning their wheels the way they are, and like I said, Giants sitting in prime position. If you got an opportunity to get Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders, I think at this point you got to pull that trigger. Can't let anything interfere with that right now. You got to do what's best for this franchise, not what's best for Aaron Rodgers' ego if he were to choose to sign here. As far as just to change gears a little bit, Pittsburgh Steelers, from what I was reading, they wanted to keep Justin Fields. That was who they really, really wanted to keep, and apparently they didn't feel comfortable matching that. I feel like insane contract that he got on the New York Jets. I think the Jets kind of, are what the Jets are, but that's a topic for another show. But neither here nor there. That was actually what I was hearing was their number one guy. Was Fields was the guy they wanted to retain, but here we are. Now they're in this Aaron Rodgers sweepstakes as well. It seems almost being like Russell Wilson. If you ask me, it's almost like he's kind of everybody's second. You know what I mean? Like, oh,
Yeah.
well, if Aaron comes here, Russ, we'll take him over you, and and the Giants are the same kind of, and basically the same way. You know what I mean? Like, if he comes here, Russ, we don't even want to we don't even want to talk to you. You know what I mean? It's just. I don't understand how this 41-year-old quarterback can have this kind of a stronghold, man. This guy
Well, that's what I
he's
mean.
not the same guy anymore. I don't know why
And if
people
you're,
don't seem to understand that. He's just
I
not.
still believe if you get Aaron Rodgers, you still should get Drew Sanders and a quarterback like that. I know their mindset will be slightly different, though. They'll say, let me get a Travis Hunter or an Abdul Carter because I have Aaron Rodgers. He's going to be Aaron Rodgers, and I can get a quarterback in the second or third round. Russell Wilson keeps the plan going. And now if we don't get Russell, because, again, the Browns decide to step up, I do believe that Pittsburgh is getting Rodgers. You can tell me no, but Russell Wilson wouldn't be making these visits in my eyes for Cleveland. It's not like, hey, you didn't hear Pittsburgh's having a meeting with Russell Wilson tonight. No, you heard he's going to Cleveland. He's leaving. He's going to the Giants. Well, guess what? The Giants, who I heard already were not in the sweepstakes to begin with, kind of lost, are starting to make their plans now to bring in Russell Wilson, whether that's to put in pressure on Aaron Rodgers, fine, but you have 2 days. If we don't hear that Aaron Rodgers is signed to the New York Giants by Thursday at midnight, Russell Wilson's the quarterback of the New York Giants. That's it. You got one more day, I think, where this plays out. And I wouldn't be surprised if tomorrow, Aaron Rodgers goes on the McAfee show and drops his bomb, right? Because that will be probably what it is, because that's probably what's happening. They couldn't get it done today, blah, 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 whatever. It has to be that, because I think they're just waiting this Minnesota thing out, because Minnesota is sniffing around Aaron Rodgers, and I think he's trying to play that game right now to squeeze out as much as he possibly can. And let's be honest, I don't think the Giants are in his plans. I think it's coming down to Minnesota, and I think it's coming down to the Steelers. And I think those are the two teams he gets the best bang for his buck with. The Giants was how you start negotiations, a la Matt Stafford, right? Matt Stafford, he's getting traded to the Giants. Next thing you know, he goes to the fucking Rams and gets paid less money, but he still gets more money from the deal, right? You see all these other guys. The only one that they've always had their eye on is Russell Wilson. And I just kind of feel if he gets into the building Friday, he's going to be a New York Giant. And I'm already resigned to the fact there's not been any breaking news. It's not like I know anything more than anybody else. It's the little tidbits I'm putting together. It just seems like, to me, the Steelers who were in on Russell Wilson, who all of a sudden now it's gone radio silent on his guard, are going to let him walk to the division rival, Cleveland Browns, right? You're going to let him walk to that team with no remorse? Tells me all I need to know. It just tells me all I need to know. Put the tea leaves together, people. And he has a meeting with the Giants. The Giants understand what it's going to take. He's probably already eyeing the Giants meeting. He's probably saying, you know what? I have a better chance over there because I don't know Cleveland's plans. Cleveland may or may not be drafting a quarterback, but they may or may not have the pocket funds to pay me. So if I'm looking to get more money, I'm definitely going to look at the Giants. So you're going to get your answer tomorrow. And I'm pretty sure the answer is going to be he's either going to be wearing a Viking helmet or he's either going to be wearing a Steeler helmet. That's what I believe. I think the 11th hour, because my point is he's going to look at the Viking situation, and it's win. I mean, you put them in the Vikings, they're trying to build a Super Bowl contender. You have an offensive line that's fantastic over there. Right, and I know this is real deal NFC East roundup, but unfortunately Rodgers is part of this, and we have to incorporate all the teams that could be involved in this, and the Giants happen to be. But if you're looking at a Rodgers standpoint, Pittsburgh, another team to win, they have a good defense. They brought in Metcalf and Pickens, and let me ask you, Mac, if you were a quarterback Who would you rather play with? And I'm just going to name the skill position players right now. You got Ty Warren, you got Austin, the receiver, you got George Pickens, you have DK Metcalf, and you have Freiermuth. All right, that's on the Pittsburgh side. On the Giants side, you have Tracy. I don't know who has a tight end right now. I don't know if it's going to be Bellinger. I don't know if it's going to be the kid from UCLA. I don't know who it is right now. But the only one that I know is signed to, well, let's just say Theo Johnson. Theo Johnson, Malik Neighbors, Darius Slayton, and Wan'Dale Robinson. Like if I'm looking at it on paper, who am I like enticed about?
Well, I mean, it's obviously Pittsburgh. I mean, as far as you looking at it on paper, I mean,
Right. I'm just saying, like, so who else gives you like if Aaron Rodgers, like, I don't need a money grab quarterback. I need like Russell Wilson. I hate to say it, like it's not. I don't think he was that good last year. I don't think he will be. I don't think they're going to win that many games with him, but he will be a name to have. I'll take him over the drama. Because right now I'm like, I probably won't have to pay him $90 million. I can take that other money that I'm going to spend and go get another lineman, go get another receiver, go get another weapon. You could do a lot more instead. And I just think read the tea leaves, folks. That's all I got to say. Hope that Russell Wilson gets out of Cleveland, which I believe he will be, because there are rumors that Cleveland is linked to Kirk Cousins, who might be cut in the next couple of days because he's due a roster bonus on Monday. So there's a lot to be going on. So to me, I think by Friday is the deadline. If Friday morning you don't hear Aaron Rodgers' name across the ticker, it will be Russell Wilson as the quarterback. That's just what they're going to probably have to do.
I mean, first of all, what's going on, Chad? Thanks for popping in. I appreciate you, man.
That's my
TJ Watt still hasn't gotten his contract extension, and Cam Hayward as well. Well, that's some Pittsburgh got a lot to deal with over there, man. But at the end of the day, this whole giant quarterback thing is giving me a headache, man. Like, get somebody in there, get somebody in the room more competent than Tommy DeVito, please. This is put somebody more competent in the room, man. This is just ridiculous too. I just can't figure out what the New York Giants are doing, man. At this position of all things, this is the one thing that, like I said, as optimistic as I have been over the course of the last couple of days, this quarterback thing is just unsettling to me. But let me go back to something we were talking about earlier. You were talking about earlier with the offensive lineman. I never really touched on that. They brought in this with James Hudson guy and this Stone Forsythe, and those guys, those names don't move the needle at all. Let's face it. I mean, nobody barely even knows who those guys are. But at the end of the day, it's telling that they, like you said, they're both swing tackles, two guys. So kind of adding to that positional group, and maybe that is a sign that maybe they're finally going to experiment with Evan Neal at guard and maybe move Joshua Zudu back to his natural position as well at guard. I mean, at this point, we know those guys can't play the tackle. They can't play tackle. Neither one of them, to me, are NFL offensive tackles at this point. So this is a last gasp for both of those guys. I mean, like you said, Joshua Zudo was drafted to be a guard in the first place, and the New York Giants moved him out to tackle and tried to make him some kind of backup left tackle, and that just has not worked out in any way, shape, or form. And Evan Neal, we know his story, obviously. A top draft pick at the offensive tackle spot, was supposed to come in and be a cornerstone piece. We thought we were going to have hope. We hoped that we were going to have bookends with him and Andrew Thomas. It did not work out that way. Evan Neal's last gasp at any form of a career will be an opportunity at the guard position. And we'll see how that goes. Like you said, losing out on Will Fries, who got the bag from Minnesota earlier today. It's right now, this New York Giants need to figure the offensive line out. We keep talking about the quarterback position, but this O-line does also need to be solidified. And granted, it's always a much better O-line when Andrew Thomas is on the field healthy, but
he lost out on Zeitler.
He's not on the field. He's not on the field healthy all that often. Oh, they tried to take another run at Zeitler again?
Well, that was another guy that's available in the market. There's a guy like Will Hernandez also. Do you want to reunite with him? The thing that you're talking about, Mac, makes me believe they're trying to run with Evan Neal as the guard, because why haven't they been linked to anybody else? You know, like the Will Fry was the only guy I heard about they've been linked to, and a couple other players, but he said he wanted a starting guard. Now, if you went to Carmen Brasillo and you're like, well, one of our starting guards is going to be Evan Neal, then now you have Evan Neal, you have Jermaine or Luminor who's still on your team. Now you have Hubbard, who might be a guy who can replace the Luminor while you look for a new tackle and keep Evan Neal. So my point is just watch that market and what they do. Because if they don't bring in like a high-level guard, then their plan might be Evan Ingram, Evan Neal, and whatever guard they bring in. They also like Jake Kubis. Like, it's not out of the realm of possibilities. They draft one at 34, right? They get the quarterback at 3, and they draft at 34, the best guard, and, go that way. They also need a center. I would love to see them bring in a center. So, but I didn't mean to cut you off. I just think, that's my thinking behind the O-line.
Oh, no, you good. I just didn't touch on that when you brought it up earlier, and I just wanted to kind of rehash my thoughts about that as well. I mean, because it makes a lot of sense. It seems like you're going out, you're getting these guys. Like I said, this Stone Forsythe, James Hudson. I mean, they're not names that, like I said, move the needle by any means. I don't think you're bringing either one of those guys necessarily to be a starting
Start.
right tackle for you. I don't like to not.
They have
I don't think
starts,
you are anyway.
but Forsyth is horrible, apparently.
But
They're it's all over Twitter how much of dog crap he is. But again, you gotta think of things with a wide lens sometimes and think about, okay, well, they were supposed to be in on guards. Joe Shane said that we're going into the guard market. They did mention that there was a story that they are moving Evan Neal to guard. You have Josh Uzudu there. There is some depth. This is an investment that you've made on your team. It's not like you have to bring out anything, right? And you already have a Luminor right there who you could flip to guard and put Evan Neal back out at tackle or have him fight for tackle. Either way, there could be competition in the room. And again, the draft, people, if you haven't noticed, we have 4 picks in the top 100. We got a 3rd round pick, and then our 4th round pick is 104, right? So the Giants have a lot of ammunition if they want to trade up in the draft to the Titans if they don't want Cam Ward, or with the way the tea leaves are falling for the Browns, maybe a Shedeur Sanders falls to at 3 and you take him, and go like that.
absolutely, man. But the off season, man, fully underway. Free agency underway, man. It's been exciting over the course of these last few days, man. And we'll be curious to see what kind of moves these teams continue to make, man. But I feel like the NFC East the NFC East teams have all kind of done. I felt like pretty good stuff thus far through the early part of free agency right now. I mean, everybody's kind of doing things. I feel like everybody's making themselves maybe a little bit better. Eagles hard for the Eagles to make themselves better, but at the same time, they're still very very good regardless. You know what I mean? Very very good regardless. But looking like pretty exciting, man. NFC's football might just be back this season, guys. It might just be back. We'll see, man. But I don't know if you have any final thoughts on anything, Adam, man, before we get up out of here.
You'll probably have a quarterback by Friday.
We hope to see, man. Hope to see it, man. We need some answers at that position, definitely for sure, man. So please make sure y'all go out there, subscribe to Mac the Giants fan, man. Right here at Mac the Giants fan, like the way you see it up on the screen here. Hit that like button, man. Hit that thumbs up. Definitely ring the bell so you know when the content's dropping, man. Adam Costas, man, do the same thing. Subscribe, like, ring the bell, man. Always dropping his content, the hurry ups, man. Make sure y'all tune into the hurry ups when he drops them. Always on point. Sub up to the Hardcore Sports Network as well. Hit the like button on the Hardcore Sports Network channel as well, if you don't mind, man. Like a lot of great content creators putting in the great work, man. We definitely appreciate all you guys tuning in, man. No Mets, no Nets, no Jets, man. Chad, Hanover Fists. Guys, appreciate you guys tuning in. And everybody else that I missed, man. Definitely, man. Appreciate the love. Not quite sure. Not quite sure if we'll be back next week, man. You got to see what kind, if anything like I don't know. I don't know how much stuff's gonna pop off for next week, man. If we do a show next week or not. So we might not be here next week. So I'm not gonna rule it completely out, but can't promise you one either, man. I do appreciate you. I do appreciate it though. But we'll be back soon on a regular basis, man. Soon, for sure, man. I'm Mac the Giants fan. It's my God, super dope co-host Adam Costas, man. And we will be back. Not exactly sure when, but we will be back. I'd like to thank you all for listening. If you was feeling this, please take time to subscribe and smack them likes. Feel free to drop a comment and let me know what you think. Don't forget to ring that bell so you know when I'm dropping new content. It's your boy, Mac the Giants fan. You can find me on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook at Mac the Giants fan. That's MacDa Giants fan.